rolling now?
Alright fans, Spectre Senence here with, again, Spectre Wile, and we are stoked to bring you this bat rep. So I know you've been used to a lot of different things, but we're bringing you one of our favorites, and that's Dust Warfare. I know there's Dust Tactics really kind of going out there, but me and Spectre Wile have been loving the Dust Warfare game system. We're refined it. We've gone through some training sessions, so we're gonna do that. I'm playing Axis. If you remember the very early bat rep that we did, and I apologize for that. It was a little bit of film, but I wanted to get you out there to know that we do play it. This one, we're gonna have one camera, but you've seen us do a lot of shooting that way before, so it'll be very solid. We'll get to see some of those models. You're playing the SSU, of course.
Yep.
All right. So this is going to be interesting. We're playing the second scenario out of the basic Dust Warfare rulebook, which is, I just said again, front lines. So we have a very interesting setup. Interesting, yeah. Well, another no man's land.
Yeah. One thing that we should note before the game begins, not that I'm going to use it as a crutch, but just that we should note it, the basic rulebook was not written with the SSU in mind. So the campaigns and stuff are designed for the Axis and Allies type confrontation.
Yeah, because the SSU don't really have some quick moving troops like the Axis, I think, have with jetpack guards.
You mean Allies?
Allies, sorry.
Axis up the apes and the zombies.
Yeah, and the apes, yeah, fast and stuff like that. So there's some quicker moving units with these, especially with the earlier design units. But that also leaves to my forces not really using much of the guerrillas because I find the guerrillas get killed pretty easily by Matt. So I went with what he has a hard time with is his heavy armor. So heavy armor troopers throughout. But I am using something pretty new from the new Icarus campaign. I'm going to have my strong point area hunkered down pretty well with a bunker. So I have purchased that for 30 points as a support unit.
And I've decided that I'm going to utilize my paint job on my SSU troops and actually pay for their camouflage.
Yes, you're hidden. So I won't really know who's over there for the Soviets, but yeah, I'll deal with it. We've actually been playing some pretty good games, and just to try to get it a little bit more, you do have a heavy tank.
I do.
Okay, so that's pretty something we got going on. But we've both been loving our aircraft, and we're sorry, but we didn't put it in our army list. I have a bunch of Hortons and things like that, and I didn't get them in this platoon because we were only doing 300 points. And you have your choppers, helicopters, a number of them, and they're not in this. And I thought he would, so I bought a lot of fortifications out of the scenario to deal with helicopters. And I guess that scared them away, and there's nothing for them to shoot.
Well, no, it was more that in our last training mission,
I shot down.
We proved the usefulness of the helicopters.
Yeah.
And I wanted a different type of surprise today, so
all right.
like the Marines, you train for the last thing you fought. So, so I chose something different for you to fight.
Okay, well, we hope that works. There's some interesting things like we can say from we playing pretty well. The SSU do have some good numbers now. He's got quite a bit of soldiers going on with that. They have the heaviest tanks, which is a really big a big bonus for if you're interested in playing the SSU. However, the Axis have a certain configurations armed with a lot of ability to kill infantry units pretty easily with his lasers, which I have that, but worse is the Shure chain gun, which is just darn nasty.
It's particularly vicious. It's a riot shield with a double machine gun attached to it that just mows down infantry.
And helicopters and anything that has lightly armor next to its not title, it's going to have issues. And Matt's going to deal with that a lot because I've not only brought the heavy recon grenadiers, which he despises because they are very much a huge challenge for him. There are 2 of them which I have for my unit. The command section is there as well, and I also brought the nasty Axis hero Lara. So she's coming.
Making them all snipers and no cover.
No, that's Angela. She's coming too, but no, Angela's got 2 of her own.
Laura's the one with the
double chain.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a quick little view so you can see the army, so you kind of get used to what we're talking about. We hope you enjoy this. This is definitely something me and Spectre Wile are going to do a lot of. We have a couple of friends that are really starting to poke some interest with it, so hopefully they can bring us some allied. We're also trying to poke some stuff at Spectre FedSen to get going as well, because this is just a fantastic game. It plays a lot of really realistic military strategy, wouldn't you say? Because you're dealing with suppression and things like that.
95% of the rules really kind of feel like it's an actual give and take on a battlefield.
Yeah, so even though you're shooting sometimes, 1 or 2 hits going in, the units are dealing with being shot at. They're not. It doesn't respond as easily as a lot of other games that we've played, where I'm gonna just go run down here regardless of the danger. These guys get suppressed quite a bit. They're bogged down. They lose actions and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So it's definitely one of those games where reactions are the big thing. You can run your guys right out there, but then they're just going to get shot up because the opposing player has the chance to interrupt you in your phase.
Yeah.
Unlike some other games where it's a back and forth, you and me, this one is a me and all sorts of you, oops.
Yeah.
And then me and all sorts of you, oops.
Yeah. And one of the things, like a lot of terminology in some of the games, and we want you to really take an interest in, is something called the Death Star units. You can't really do that in Dust, right? Because, like you said, you run a unit up there. There's reaction units, and units can shoot them and suppress them. Even though they may not be dying, which Death Star units have the capability of doing and dishing a lot of damage, they're losing a number of actions. They're being bogged down in suppression bars.
I would say Death Star units are certainly a viable aspect of the game and do come into play, but you have to set them up.
Yeah.
You can't just run a Death Star unit out there and let it soak up all the shots, let it run out there in the middle and just expect it to do something. It's not going to get it unless you put the whole combination together to really get it out on the table and get it to do what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But there are certainly Death Star units like your little recon grenadiers with the extra hero. I mean, that just mows down anything that you set up the combination for, but it's a matter of delivering that combo.
Yeah, they can't.
It's not as easy.
I say Death Star in part because Death Star units are difficult to kill off. In this game, like I said, at least with suppression and hitting, you can still kill off this unit with some ability if you stick it out there. You can't. A Death Star unit in other games can get its head stuck out there and be fine. In this game, like you said, you stick that unit out there, you need support. This game is about support. It's about real strategy tactics to keep moving forward, otherwise you're going to have some issues. So we're going to get into checking out our armies, and we hope you enjoy this, and again, subscribe and comment below.
Alright, so Spectre Wile's SSU forces for today. We're taking the City at the Gates approach to the SSU, the Horde force of charging massed models. We're starting with a sniper team, very reminiscent of the movie, with excellent sniper rifles. Not quite as much range as the Germans, but definitely more firepower behind them. Then we have the Defense Platoon Command Squad, and then we're running a full defense platoon of 2 rifle squads and 2 close combat squads. We are using the Commissar models today. The individual commissars purchased to combine the squads. So we have an 11-man rifleman squad and an 11-man assault squad. Then we also have a observation team attached to the defense platoon, which will be spotting for the heavy tank artillery piece, which is part of the Red Guard platoon, led by Yakov. He has the leader ability to lead platoons, and 2 Red Thunder anti-tank squads, as well as the heavy tank, making up the Red Guard platoon.
Alright, I'm going to basically bring the Axis platoons to you. I'm basically going with the Shure Heavy Command troop unit. Plus I'm using with the new Icarus new rulebook set, which has the armored platoon. So Laura has the leader ability, so she's basically going to lead that. And this is the nasty one with the M44 Suez guns. These are definitely nasty. She's going to basically bring a Hans and a Heinrich to basically take on any of the opponents. So a couple light walkers, they have some pretty good capabilities to kind of deal with a little bit things here and there. Not major, but they're alright with that. The extra hero will be Angela. So with her sniper ability, she's pretty darn deadly to go with a lot of that stuff going on. And then we're led by the heavy commando troop for the platoon that I'm running. And then basically we have the sections made up with the heavy recon grenadiers, which I mentioned are pretty deadly. We got the Panzer Killers, which I upgraded, so they have an extra bazooka thing in there. And then we have the heavy laser grenadiers, because I'm really a favorite with the Axis lasers. They have a sniper team as a support. And the last thing, this is a modified, you use a bunker. They actually have units out there, but we're going to use one I've had kicking around for a while for another support. So this is a very heavily armored infantry unit compared to Spectre Wile's very light infantry unit, but he does have the big tank, so he's got a little bit more heavy mechanized stuff than me. So we'll see exactly what plays out. All right. So we are at our table. I basically wasted the air fortifications that I basically took to get where the SSU were going to be setting up. But from there, they're placed in the corner, really doing nothing. We have Angela and a sniper team in the bunker. We have a sure heavy recon group here. There's the command. Inside is, in this building, is another heavy recon grenadiers, and there inside is the heavy laser. We have our Panzer killers back there. There's the Hans, and then there's Laura. And then we have some of the Red Guard here, the tank hiding. Now you're going to see the tactic cards on here. That's where Spectre Wile bought camouflage. So he gets to reveal them in the activation phase when he chooses to, or reacts as I'm there. So I really don't know what those units are. It's a clever way to kind of use the tactic cards in the system. So it really keeps an interest of we don't know what's going on. So pretty interesting with that. So we're going to try to get some of the stuff going on. We're going to try to probably recap every phase just because it's going to be difficult for us to hold the camera and do a lot of the movements. So hopefully that will give you guys enough insight of what happens. Alright, so basically the Axis 1 initiative, even though I had one more dice to roll than Spectre Wile. So basically we have the heavy recon grenadiers. They just ran across the street because there's really nothing over there to really shoot at them. Angela and her sniper team fired at Yakov, killed 2, suppressed him, and he's lost 2 casualties there. The Heinrich fired into this unit there, only suppressed him, doing no damage. And the heavy laser grenadiers tried to find what was on the 2nd floor, which turned out to be a spider team, which helped the big IS-58 Vladimir Lenin fire a shell onto Lara, but it did hit Lara, but her armor pretty much shrugged it off, and she's by herself, so she's not suppressed because of it. The sniper team also tried to shoot Lara, but they completely missed. She's really pulling the hero there. Yakov, after being shot by the sniper team, used the reaction to get out of Angela's sight because Yakov has really stellar cover abilities, so he didn't want to lose that. And that's pretty. And he saved the last command point. So that is the turn for everybody with some reaction markers on the units, and they're going to go forward. So we got a pretty interesting first turn that basically was going on. So the Hans showed up. He had to stay away from everybody there, so he is on the corner. The heavy recon is still making that push forward. Angela has, because Yakov moved to the side here, she basically took out 3 more units with her sniper compadre. So that unit has been down pretty hard there. We basically moved a few people here, added more suppression there. Across the way, he revealed all his units. So the rifle team's in there, the command section's in there. The 2 rifles split fire. They basically suppressed the heavy recon grenadiers that are on the lower floor and the command section to allow this unit to make a charge across the open way. So that is the SSU's big move here. Then the spotter team was killed off by the recon grenadiers there, so that he's got no forward observers anymore. So the big tank has have to roll itself out to check for what it's able to do. It's still unloaded right now, and the sniper teams continue to miss at Lara right now, who's just kind of holding the ground. She didn't really do anything, just kind of seeing where the units weren't, and of course they moved to the far side. So that is the first turn, and we'll go back into turn 2. Alright, we're at the start of the second of the turn in the command phase. Matt just had a real tough situation. He ran the unit out. He basically used his command points to move Yakov on the big tank. That move strolled forward. Trying to play with the action. Unfortunately, when he did get initiative, because Lowe gets initiative, I ended up rolling 7 command for all my units. I rolled a little bullseye, so I used it on every unit that was around that team and just shot it to pieces because they were out in the open. Not much they could do. The only thing I did do was move that heavy recon into cover because that's the scoring point for me. So I had to make sure they were there without any reactions being done to them. Really, with the rifle teams trying to do what they can, I was still going to get those reaction markers out there to suppress. Matt commented that you had to do something. Wasn't really much able you can do. So that's pretty much where the command phase ends. This unit has taken some more suppression from the Heinrich and trying to still move things forward. It's not over yet. Alright, we have finished the end of the regular command, turn 2. Regular turn activation, I should say. So the Russians have left the comforts of the building. They're really trying to push. Matt needs to score. As you can see, this unit took now the brunt of all the rest of the regular fire. They're down to 3 men and 6 suppression, so they are overwhelmed right now, retreating. He's got a couple guys that have snuck past the lines, and the rest are all on the big tank trying to make a push through. That's what's left, the sniper team over there, plus the command, and that is what the Rush SSU forces are trying to do. The Heinrich took a damage from the sniper team, so a well-placed shot right through their armor there. The rest of the line is being held inside the strong points and the bunker. My command unit is now venturing forth to try to, continue to add more scoring units. The heavy recon grenadiers and the Hans are definitely in scoring position and really out of any threat range. So they're now in a good spot, and now it's really up to a few more rounds going on right now to see what happens here. Alright, command phase went pretty quick. Basically my Hans is just moving over because everybody, more or less, the snipers just piled in the tank. These guys have got behind the tank. These guys move because they can move in the command phase with a command action to be given to them. So Lara fired on them, the Heinrich fired on them. Basically one guy died and more suppression was added. And that's pretty much all I did. So these guys have been laced with bullets, and we'll see what happens to them. Alright, so we finished the end of turn 3. The Russians have made a very strong push. Everything is kind of clambering with the tank, moving forward. The cool thing is the reaction, the tank pushed forward, reloaded, then pushed forward, and blew the Panzer killers as they did a little damage to him on their reaction when it moved forward. And then on his reaction, he blew them and the small car they were trying to leave behind. So they're all gone. Lara and the Heinrich continue to fire. They put suppression on Yakov. Is that his name?
Yep.
So he's got a little things to deal with there. The rest of my army is now basically moving across to score because this is the one push. There's a few units left to kind of deal with it, and then we're going to try to play the outpoint cost game from there. So there's still quite a bit of the game left to check out here. It's not over yet. Alright, so basically Matt has used the command to keep that unit moving forward because otherwise it's going to move back if he doesn't get the suppression off. I shot and put 2 wounds on Yakov. He's now got another suppression there. The Heinrich reacted and missed, so nothing from there. And I moved Angela's team pretty much getting closer so she can possibly score as well. And now it will go to the SSU because they still have the initiative. Alright, so basically this dislodged the command unit. They went for Lara and didn't do anything to her. They would have, because she's a solo, she wasn't sustained. That unit over there helped pretty much eliminate them, so they didn't move into helping scoring, but they helped eliminate a unit. The big truck tried to get Angela's team, missed. In turn, the heavy laser grenadiers came out and they put 3 damage on it, so it's blinded now. And everybody else has just kind of like been shooting around, and a lot of missing and a lot of maneuvering. So it's still pretty close, but a lot of Axis units are now moved into some scoring areas. Alright, the fight for the hard flank has continued. The Yakov's team basically destroyed the Heinrich. It's now gone. They put a wound on Lara as well. Then in return, the heavy laser grenadiers eliminated the big tank, and then the heavy recon grenadiers killed the guys that were on top of that. And 1 more wound was put on Yakov from Angela on the far corner side here. So he's got a lot of suppression, still trying to fight things off, as these 3 units are still trying to make a bid to score. Alright, so we finished turn 5. We're going to go on 6, but Spectre Wile, and in favor of time as well, because we have to pick up little ones, is pretty much let it go. I've got a lot of scoring. I put out a lot of the big stuff, so he's got very little chance to kind of really get the remnants of it.
I've got no chance. You've got 4 units within scoring range on turn 6. I've got 3, so there's just no way I can win the game.
So it's pretty solid there from that aspect.
I can concede
Yeah, let's get him from that aspect.
I could have had the Pyrrhic victory of offing Angela, but
Laura.
Oh,
Yeah,
Laura.
or possibly. Yeah, Laura's really getting into it. She's staring in the face of Yakov, and Yakov's ready to really give it to her now that they killed her backup with the Heinrich. But overall, some of the things we're seeing, we're still seeing the Axis armor and the Axis long-range firepower really having issues with the SSU. That's what some of the things we're talking about here. What do you think? Air cavalry or more heavy tanks? Is there something?
Well, this scenario, the air cavalry would have helped me the way I played last time. I could have gotten 2 units already in the back zone really to play easily, and the mobility of them, I could have reworked my entire deployment. The things that really hurt me were the hidden deployment, because I had to deploy in terrain.
Yep.
That was a piece that I didn't really kind of get the camouflage when I was starting to do it, but then I realized it really limited me. And the fact that all your fortifications were deployment items as well.
Yep.
So you were able to basically deploy your fortifications and
See where you were.
see where I was deploying before you even got to put any of your real models in place.
Yes.
So my strategy to bunch up and push the side was really nullified because you could see that happening before you get to where your models are going.
Yeah. So that was like 40 points of what I used to do that for 3 units of deployment. But
I think we both saw that the minefields would have been really awesome on this deployment.
yep. Yeah.
Although, I don't know, it really wouldn't have hurt you all that much because
It depends where I moved and where you placed it.
how deep the minefields were.
Yeah. Overall, though, I mean, this is what we kind of talked about, though. We talked about pushing forward and the issues. Like, you saw a very large unit if you play a lot of the games with hordes, but with the amount of guns that can come on that unit, you know, the effect of that damage, you're taking some casualties in this game. You have to be very wary of that. But you also see even heavy tanks, you have to be wary of what units can return that fire. So you gotta move carefully. You gotta help. Snipers are real snipers in this game. Yours did damage very well to the Heinrich when they hit, and my Angela was just
I only rolled 1 bullseye all game for the sniper.
Yeah.
So they really didn't do anything.
too much. No, yeah, that's true. Didn't hit one Heinrich once. But Angela was a beast.
Yeah, and you never hit with Angela, and she was smoking things left and right on this.
Yeah, she loved the bunker. She was loving that hole. She felt very safe and had no problem putting that scope out on SSU warriors there. So
I had that bunker done too, and it just didn't get there.
yeah. You had one good phase where it was close, but it's the role. It's the hard thing about predicting this game is the initiative. Who will get it and who will go first. It's not a back and forth turn. Once the turn is finished, then you have to roll to see who gets initiative, and then in that phase, how many units are reacting in the command phase. Like, I lost initiative in that phase, but I had 7 units that were reacting or going in the command phase for free shots with no reaction, anything to really react around it. So it's an interesting game. It's a challenging game too. Like we said, it's a simple system pretty well, but we have found a high amount of challenge for this.
And I still can't find the key to the SSU. The range of their guns is only 12 inches on most of their guns. They've got a couple of 16-inch guns and they've got a couple of 30-inch guns, but not in any numbers. And the base range of the Axis guns is 16, so there's a 4-inch gap before I can even get into range to return fire. And by that time, you're talking about the reactions and who gets to see what's going on. And
absolutely,
once you get into that firing range, all of a sudden, as your squad behind the car found out, they had the moment to pick on the tank.
moment.
And then the tank rolled up. They thought they were going to shoot on it, and the tank said, "Oh, I get to react before you shoot." And I dropped an artillery strike on it.
That was definitely your shining cool moment. That blew that whole car away, and every guy in there took shrapnel to the face and died pretty badly.
Artillery in this game is the one weak point of the rules, in my opinion, because the artillery doesn't work like artillery. There's no danger of hitting your own guys if you shoot too close.
It didn't affect Laura. She was very close by.
And you can't hit like a zone.
Yeah.
So even if your unit was like wrapped around Laura, I could only hit Laura or the unit wrapped around her.
Yeah, there are some rules situations with that we've kind of found, but again, anything else we found pretty good. I'm a big sniper fan in a lot of other things, and this played very well for that. I like the way those work well. But overall, we hope you enjoy. SSU players out there, please comment below. Help Spectre Wile figure a good configuration. He's got almost all the units and models, so he's not going to have an issue getting those models. He just needs to figure out what's the combo, what's a pretty good tactic.
How to move them forward.
Yeah.
I can sit them and be defensive and do better, but
Right.
getting to you, I'm having a hard time covering any kind of open ground.
But these two scenarios that we played in the first two rulebooks are about moving, so we'll see if some of these other scenarios are different. But we're not doing tournament thing. Also, we didn't pick scenarios to try to make it easy, so it couldn't be just like kill points. We could have done that, but this was playing a campaign fluff. Me and Spectre Wile really want to work with that a lot more anyway. So you're seeing Laura and Angela there. So
the tank riders may help.
Yeah.
If I could run my transports, that might get me to move a little better.
All right. Well, thanks again. Subscribe, and you'll see more Dust Forums again, and hopefully we'll get a very strong game. Thank you.